Всем привет! Это канал Джон и Ева. И у нас сегодня гость. Вы уже видели ее в влоге, но мы решили провести небольшое интервью с ней. Так что ты можешь представиться? Как тебя зовут и откуда ты?
Привет, меня зовут Джейми, я из США. Я очень люблю русских людей и русский язык, и я так рада быть здесь.
Да, Джейми живет в Москве. Сколько лет ты живешь в Москве?
2 года.
2 года. Да, в общей сложности 2 года. Приезжала несколько раз, но да, в общей сложности 2 года. Мы проведем небольшое интервью на английском языке, так как будет легче для Джейми. Так что вот. So, we will speak English and и будут субтитры, there will be some subtitles. So, the first question is, what are 3 things that you like about Russia?
Oh gosh. First thing I love, I'm from California, so I'm used to really good weather all year round. So here in Russia, I love that you have these hard, long winters, but then summer becomes so much more magical because you're used to these long winters and snow and cold and just wanting to sleep all the time. But then in the summer, it's like I went to Gorky Park and I don't need a jacket after midnight and rollerbladers and just people in the park laying, reading, just amazing. So something that we take for granted in America or in California, it becomes extra special in Moscow. So that's one thing I love. And I love autumn. So the seasons, the seasons of changing colors because it's pretty much always paradise in California. Pretty much.
There is good weather there.
Yeah. So secondly, I just, the language is so beautiful to me. The more I meet Russian people and the more I'm exposed to it, it's not this super foreign language anymore. I think it's become a part of me, of my heart now, this language, because I think because of the people I've met, I'm so interested in learning it because to me it's this giant, mysterious puzzle of sorts, and everything I learned is a piece to that amazing puzzle, and it's so cool because so that leads me to my third thing that I love the most about Russia is really the people. I think being from California, I'm used to just very positive at the forefront, but maybe not as deep inside. But in Russia, I feel like there's so much more that's kept under the surface, and I really appreciate that because when you do get close to somebody and make that bond, it's I feel like it's worth more than maybe a connection in California. Not to generalize, of course, but so I think in that way, being without something, good weather or maybe super nice people all the time makes, when you do get it, that much more special.
Awesome. We had weather, I think it was weather's first thing, language, and then the people that are deep.
Yeah, there's more to them, I think. And I think I didn't realize until I came here that in California, we have a lot of things pretty easy, a lot of job opportunities. We can learn anything. We can go anywhere. Even traveling around the world, it's much easier, in terms of visas and all this stuff. And I didn't realize that people in Russia, they don't have all those opportunities that easily. And even just knowing English, and I'm Korean, and so I realize it's that hardship that you have in Moscow. I think it makes them more interesting and more complex people in a good way, So yeah, not so simple and
cool.
Yeah. I'm sorry that these subtitles are going to be pretty interesting.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good practice.
Yeah, good practice.
So that you have a very positive attitude toward Russia, but the next question is, I don't know, maybe harder, but what are 3 things that you don't like so much about Russia?
Yeah, so in the same way though, I talk positively about it, but it's because it has to be hard for the good parts to be good. So I've experienced the hard parts too, like of just day after day of snow and cold and rain and also so all 3 of those things, the good parts that I love, like they have really hard parts too, because with the language, I've just decided I must just do a little bit every day. That I have to just realize it's the process, but it's really easy to get kind of discouraged sometimes because dating a Russian man, I don't understand what he says to his family, to his friends at work when he's talking on the phone. It's like he's in another, like when we speak in English, I forget that he actually thinks in Russian the rest of the day. And it's so strange to me because it's hard to not feel like in some ways disconnected from him in that way. Although he, you know, when we're together, I feel totally connected with him. So language, something I'm fascinated by, also can be emotionally isolating as well in some ways. The language. And to not be discouraged so much when I feel like my mind is so, I want to express myself so much and be myself, but I can't with the people that I want to, and his family too, like being able to communicate with them. So in that way too, so the weather, when it's bad, it can get really hard. And I can understand now why Russians drink so much, because what else is there to do? Like, and I don't even drink, and sometimes I'm like, that's, you know, it'd be nice. And so, and then the language, and then the people, again, I'm used to, hey, how's it going? Like talking to anyone and everyone, even if it's just one conversation and you never see them again, I still value that and being able to do that. But here it's not as appropriate, I guess, to do that. So I feel like I have to kind of limit myself in that way and just kind of turn off my natural personality of if I like someone, like when I first met you, it'd be so weird if I just had to like not hug you and be like, oh, hi, you know, like, because you're open to, like, we hugged and it was great because you're an open person. But in general here, like, I couldn't really do that without them feeling kind of like maybe I'm, you know, violating them or something. So yeah, so all the good things, what makes them good, are the bad. But like I said, contrast, you can't have one without the other. So because with people, for example, when I do find someone who is open and, you know, I can connect with, it makes it even more special, you know. So it's both ways.
Cool. Very interesting. So and then the same questions about the US. What are 3 things that you like about the US?
This is one of the reasons why I, in many ways, like, love where I'm from, is because I realize I can do anything. Like, I really feel the limits here, especially younger people speak more English for sure, but I really understand that what I've been given in America and California, like, I can do anything, and that kind of sense of possibility I didn't really realize until I came to Russia. I didn't realize that, and I heard once someone say that English is like the golden ticket out of Moscow, because if you don't speak English, your life will be in Russia and Moscow, and in Moscow is like the big part of Russia, you know, like where everything is happening, and even in Moscow it can feel limiting, I think. But I don't know, I can't speak for a real, like, Greg loves Moscow. This is his home, and he feels like he can really excel and do what he wants to do. So I can't speak for a real Russian living here. But I think it makes me really excited to go back to America and just, I feel like I really, like, the world really is my oyster, and I feel that there. And I like that, because, I mean, of course I could make a life here in that same way, but when I really listen to myself, what I'm excited about is all the possibilities in America, and that's something that's like priceless to me. So
do you think, is part of it a mentality thing that you're taught that you can do anything, or?
That's a good point. Like, because why do I feel like there's more opportunities in America than in Russia? yeah, is it because I've just been brought that way, and maybe Russians living in Moscow weren't, like, they're like, life is about hard work, like Greg has a joke, like, life is pain, you know, maybe that's just like a Russian thing that I think Russians feel a sense of pride about that, though, you know, this kind of resilience and like this sense of, you know, whatever happens to us, like oppression and all their history, like we still like make it through, and there's like a pride about that. Like I don't think Americans really know what that feels like, you know, that kind of like I can't generalize. Americans are all very different now, but just my experience as an American, like in California, I don't think we really understand what that kind of hardship and struggle and oppression is, you know, and so maybe that's why we feel a more naive view of the world, like we can do anything. But I genuinely feel that way, you know. Yeah. This is part of why I'm so proud to be American. I'm so grateful that my parents moved here and allowed me to live this life. And just being in Moscow has helped me to realize that more. Because before I came to Russia, I lived in Turkey for a couple months, and I realized like, because at that point I wanted to be anywhere but California, anywhere. I just wanted to live in a foreign country. But now, more than just like the experiences of different cultures and languages and just beautiful like different cities and all that, a priceless gift of all that traveling is just this newfound appreciation for my home and not wanting to run away from home all the time now. That's been the longer you're away, the more you appreciate home. Really, that's been the most priceless thing that I couldn't have learned if I hadn't lived in another country. So, yeah.
I feel the same, yeah. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think both the United States and Canada were built on dreams, really. You know, people that, you know, they left where they were from and came there and very directly, you know, your parents came from Korea to the United States and lived their dream, right? So
and I'm so proud of that. That's another thing. Being in Russia, in a completely foreign country, I have this, again, a newfound perspective and appreciation for what my parents did. Yeah. You know? Oh my gosh. Like going to a place where I don't know the language and starting a life, building a business, raising children. Oh my gosh. Like I couldn't imagine. Like it's all these things you take for granted, and then you only realize later what your parents did for you and what they enabled you to do, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. Okay, there are a couple. That's a very deep, great answer. Are there a couple other things that you like that on any level from the United States
that I don't like?
That you do like first, and then don't?
And I also like in America that it's see, when I say American, I feel almost like I can't possibly generalize for all of America, because in this one country there's so like I haven't seen nearly enough of America to say I'm American, actually, you know. Even California, there are parts I haven't seen. So I think even just that possibility, in that sense of how much there is to see, even in just my own country, like, because even that I took for granted. I'm like, oh, whatever, it's America. Just like the same way, like in LA, we live 15 minutes from the beach. Many people go weeks and weeks without ever going to the beach, you know, whereas people would dream of being able to go to the beach after work, you know. So it's kind of like you take for granted what you have, you know. And so just even that, like, realizing even in my own country, you know, never mind all these other countries in the world, like, what about my own country? Like, everything I haven't seen, like, so that's cool too. And I guess the last thing is just that you can, of course, going to the native country is the best way, but you can really experience any culture in America, because it's cliche, but it really is either a melting pot or a big salad, whatever you want to call it, you know. And even in New York, you can experience every culture, you know, because they've come there and maybe preserved it in some way, and so even if you can't get out of America, you can still experience many cultures and learn languages. And so I think possibility. In one word, possibility. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And are there 3 things that you don't like so much about the US?
Maybe the sense of, like, I didn't realize this until I came to Moscow, is the sense of entitlement that I think that Americans have. Like, at least from when I look at myself, like, honestly, I think it's like this mix of being a little naive and entitled, like thinking we can do anything, we're better than the world. Like, this is just like being honest with myself. Like, so maybe that part I don't really like, I guess. And we're kind of very ignorant of what's really happening in the world, I feel like. And we don't really care. That's the thing. Even when we talked about how we don't really watch foreign films because it's too much trouble to read subtitles. Like, oh my gosh, like really? Like, we're just close ourselves off from all these cultures, you know, and artistic mediums of experiencing those cultures because we're too lazy to read subtitles because we're so used to every movie being in our own language, you know? And so just stuff like that, like, and I don't know. I don't really like to focus on what I don't like.
Yes, of course. You're a positive person.
What do I not like? Yeah, I can't think of anything else except maybe just that we are in our own bubble. Like the fact that I haven't seen a lot of America is because it's really easy to stay in your own bubble and think this is life. But it's really not, you know. When I saw like these like disheveled like homes in Turkey, like it just I don't want to call them slums, but you know, just really poor parts of Turkey, I was just like, wow, like people, this is their life, you know, and you completely forget that when you have this like, you know, 4-bedroom house with the garage, and you know, like you totally forget, and stores right there, and so even on a smaller level, coming to Russia, like I mean, this is a really nice like big flat, but I've been to flats or apartments that are like with 5 or 6 people. It's like such small apartments. Like the kitchen is like two people can't walk in the same direction without like, you know, like in very small quarters, and so I take for granted the fact that I have like a living room and then you know, like a big dining room and just all these things at home. But so yeah, I think that's one of the greatest gifts of traveling is you get to appreciate things that you kind of took for granted.
Cool. Now, when you're in Russia, what is something that you miss from the U.S.? Maybe aside from family, you know.
Yeah. Well, just being able to talk to everyone and everyone, I guess, and that's an obstacle that I know it's not like permanent, which is great. But I think right now in this stage of like my Russian and like confidence level speaking it and all that, like that's the hard part because I get energy from connecting with people, so not being able to do that that's the hardest part, I think. Like that's what I miss, being able to just talk to anybody. Because, like I said, even if I'm never going to see this person again, it still feeds me to make this connection with them for that, even that moment, whether I'm in a store or at the beach or whatever. So not being able to do that here. Although sometimes when there's a more open-minded Russian and they try to say something to me and we have like somewhat of a conversation, it's super cool. Like it's amazing, and it makes me like it motivates me even more. And I can see they have that special feeling too, because when can they converse with an American girl in this way, you know? So for them, it's a two-way thing. So that's cool. But yeah, I think that's what I miss the most is being able to talk to anyone.
So you have been back and forth a little bit between Russia and the U.S.
Yeah.
Is there anything other than your boyfriend that you miss about Russia when you're in the U.S.?
He's a big one.
Of course. Yeah.
Good question. I think just the feeling of being in another country and all the challenges and the rewards that come with it that I can't experience in home. Maybe that. And there are little things like just you know, at the store when like little accomplishments. You have to use your own machine to weigh fruits and stuff.
Yeah, you have to weigh the.
If they didn't have pictures, I would be so screwed, you know. And sometimes even when they have like 4 different kinds of apples or cucumbers, I'm like, I don't know, like, you know, which one is it?
You miss that when you're in the U.S.?
No. What I miss is being able to overcome it and successfully do something like that I first couldn't. Yeah, those kinds of things. That it's like, yes, I can do it, or. Yeah, all the challenges that come with living in a foreign country, and I guess that's what I miss. And because with the challenges come like, the breakthroughs and the rewards, and it's like, oh, it's really cool. Or when, like we were saying, when you hear a conversation and you can understand you know, at least some of it, it's like, whoa, like it's not some alien language anymore. Like, so just stuff like that. Because that things that if you're just in your home country, home city, you know, it doesn't even cross your mind because you're just living your life, you know, so.
Sort of like making you get out of your bubble, right?
Yes, so. And getting out of my comfort zone and just, yeah, so maybe that. But of course, he's a big part of it, so.
Oh, one question that I wanted to ask is if, as a minority in Russia, I know for me as I'm white and people often think that I'm Russian. And oftentimes I see minorities having problems with police or things like that. Have you noticed any difference being a visible minority in Russia or?
Well, because there are like Asian-looking Russians a lot, and but what I notice is that those Asian-looking Russians pay extra attention to me. Like I don't know if they wonder like, am I one of them or? She looks a little different, is she, you know, I don't know. And of course when my mouth opens and I speak English and it's just like, you know, so no, but I Greg just told me once, don't speak a foreign language when you're around police, just to be safe. Because if I'm just not saying anything, you can't really tell that I'm not Russian per se. I mean, just,
yeah, sure.
So no, I really haven't felt any. Do you mean like discrimination or something? Or like problem?
For example, yeah.
No, I haven't.
And the last question is, we talked about this a little bit today. People often ask me, Russians and English speakers, how well people speak English in Russia. But since I always speak Russian, I don't know. I haven't tried to speak English in Russia for a long time. So how do Russians speak English well, or do Russians know English?
This is a really good question because I think, so when I meet, especially younger people who have probably studied English at some point in school, like, I think the minute some English comes out of their mouth, I just get so excited that I automatically assume they're fluent speakers, so I just talk normally, you know? And I didn't realize until later that they're probably just nodding and acting like they understand everything, you know? They probably understand some, but I always feel like maybe my belief in them helps them, but I always believe in them that they understand more than they think, and that they can speak better. And I've seen it happen. At first they're really like apprehensive and nervous about speaking, but after some time I don't know where this English comes from, but they just speak a lot better. And I think people in Russia, they don't realize how good their English is actually. And if they just practice more, I think they'd be really impressed. This is just my experience from who I've talked to, because they're always pretty like say that their English is not very good, but I disagree. I think if I could speak Russian at the same level, I'd be thrilled. So because they can speak general ideas, you know, so it's really but it's also, on the other hand, I think many Russians don't know any English.
Okay, so the people who know some are better than they think, but there's also many I realize who don't know any Russian or any English. So yeah. Is it hard for? I think Moscow is different for the rest of Russia, but is it hard for you to find somebody who speaks English when you need to get something done? Kind of, yeah, yeah. I think, and of course that's where it helps if I know some Russian. But like they usually look at me like they don't know what I'm saying, so yeah. But. Cool. I don't need to ask too often, but yeah, because I think if you're in Moscow, you don't really need to use Russian, you know, or use English. I mean, so it's just there's no reason to. So when someone starts speaking to you, it's like, you know, so. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much. No, it was my pleasure. Yeah. Большое спасибо, Джейми, за интервью. Наверное. У вас остался вопрос. Наверное, самый главный вопрос, почему Джейми здесь, в России? Мы, в принципе, не ответили до конца на этот вопрос, но у нас будет еще интервью с Джейми и вместе с ее парнем, который русский. Это подсказка. И если у вас есть какие-нибудь вопросы, которые вы хотели бы задать Джейми или ее парню, пишите в комментариях, подписывайтесь на канал, и вы увидите следующее интервью и много интересных видео. Это все на сегодня. До следующего раза. Давай. Пока.
Пока.
Здорово.